much, Nana.
Thank you very much, too. But we're going to watch this short clip, which will dovetail us into today's conversation. Watch this. Well, hello and welcome to, I don't know whether this is PM Express, but well, that's part of PM Express. Within our stay in London, something dawned on me. And I'm standing right in the seat of government, which is the Westminster House, where Parliament is taking place, as I talk now. Now, what amazes me is the sense of order within the city of London. Folks, there are just under 10 million people, about 9.868 million people living in London, and they've been policed by 31,000 police officers. So clearly there isn't each policeman to each citizen. However, the sense of orderliness and discipline is mind-boggling. Now, if you think that the average Londoner is complaining that London is not clean and is filthy, coming from my side of the world or where we come from, you don't know whether to laugh or to take them serious. But that's what they're saying, that the city is not clean enough. There's no need a policeman to stand on the traffic light before traffic stops. Motorbikes stop when the red light says stop. Even bicycles, push bicycles, stop when the red light comes on. And you wonder, is it because they were born that way, or they were trained that way, or is it they are scared of the repercussions of what would happen? And then you drive around your neighbors, and then in the neighborhoods, no one has walls, no one has burglar proofing. Cars are parked, and indeed expensive cars. So you ask yourself, are there burglars who come around in the night to break into their cars and steal? And if so, how much of it? Is it rife? But how did they get here? Because you look at our parts of the world, you build a half-decent house and you need a wall the size of in some prisons to shield yourself. You need dogs that are wild and ready to eat human beings before you are safe. How can we also get this safe and have this sense of discipline and orderliness and live as human beings? Because I believe that as human beings, you don't need to be so paranoid and barricaded within your house or whatever it is. Electric fences and big heavy metal gates. I'm not saying that no house here has got a gate, but 95% of the housing don't have gates or walls, and yet still they live peacefully and get about their daily work comfortably. What amazes me is the discipline when it comes to zebra crossing. You step your foot on the zebra crossing and the nearest car stops for you to drive on. You walk across the pavement and there's no container shop. Nobody's just put a shop there because they think they're poor and therefore that's their space and they're going to sell on it. No house can grow grass in front of the pavement in their house. As you look on our side of the world, any half-decent rich man thinks that the pavement belongs to me, therefore I put my royal palm, plant my grass there, and whoever is walking need to walk on the street. And therefore we have 6 people being run down on a daily basis because pedestrians and cars have to wrestle on the road, and obviously pedestrians lose. How can we also achieve this? Now, one thing that boggles me is, well, not every citizen of Ghana has come to this side of the world, but every leader who's worth his salt has come to this side of the world. Indeed, this is where they come and beg for all their monies. Don't they see some of these things that we can bring home and steady and also improve ourselves in the way we live? Sanitation. Roads are constantly being swept, even though they are complaining. Orderliness. Now, as you can see, I am recording right in the heart of town, and you notice not one sound of a car horn. Not a sound. No car has hooted, and we are right in the thick of things. So how is it possible that you can be in town with so much traffic and yet no driver honks his horn to say, you go or move away because I'm moving? Who's watching? Who's listening? And why aren't they honking their horns? Because folks, if I was doing the same speech or I was doing the same videoing in the heart of Accra, every 5 seconds you would hear beep, 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 beep. Every car would be honking. So how did they get here? And what is it that we have to pick from here to replicate, because we seem to come here and go back with only the bad habits and not the good habits. Police are effective, always on the move. A few minutes ago, there was a police helicopter because obviously there's a suspect in here somewhere, so they moved their helicopter. And I remember this issue came back home in Ghana, and we were complaining that get the police a chopper, but what did we do? We rather bought a presidential jet. So what? That's something we don't feel secure, and therefore we have houses and we have to barricade ourselves in. I think it's about time that we pick up certain things. Now, you know, I'm one person who don't believe that, you know, go and copy blindly what other people do. However, as far as human rights is concerned, I think it cuts across board. There is a certain level of decency where it's accepted that you live in your house with a free mind, and that I don't think you have to be any culture, any race to have that sense of security. It is about time that when our leaders come around, they notice some of these things, find out how it was implemented here, and then we bring it back home. Look at the neighborhood. Every neighbor has got a green patch. There's always a green space for every neighbor. You don't have any chief, you know, my sort, coming to sell it willy-nilly. So there's a green space where children can play, where old folks can sit and have their sandwich and enjoy the weather. Every area has a dedicated green space. And guess what? Between every town and the next town, there's a deliberate green space left so that the towns don't join together. Because now you realize you're driving from Accra to Kaswa, there's no space. So you're within Accra, and the next thing you know, you're in Kaswa, where there isn't any clear boundary. But what they've done here is they leave a deliberate green patch so that towns can be segregated, and you can't, you know, notice that I've now left Accra and I'm moving into Kaswa, or I've left London and I'm moving into Bexley. These things, I think, it's safe enough to emulate. And we need to bring it back. I think mayors within Accra should travel, and indeed they always travel for what they call capacity building. I don't know what they see when they have this capacity building. But let's look around you. Nobody's just planked a table anywhere to say they are selling because, or a container, or obstructing the pavement. All these capacity building, has it yielded any results, and are we seeing it? I think it's about time, because the world is moving too fast and away from us. And we need to instill this sort of discipline, this sort of culture within us, so that even though there isn't a policeman around, you still live within the law and obey the laws of the land. It is very, very important. We'll show you other sides, which I think is fantastic, but I think this is what I have to stay right in front of Westminster House. What amazes me is the sense of order. Straight from Westminster back to Kokomlemle, back to reality. But home, you know what? Home sweet home. Look, I travel, and sometimes, you know, even though in the height of doom, so you just still can't wait to go back home. There is something here. They say when your umbilical cord is buried somewhere, you just can't seem to leave that land. But today we're going to have a very beautiful conversation.